So, talking about the background of strategy. Strategy was originated from a military organization and was synonymous to the approach of military troops to win or stay ahead of rivals. The famous Chinese philosopher Sun Tzu, for the first time, introduced the concept of strategy through his book, The Art of War, written in the 6th century BC. He was immersed in business field, particularly after World War II. Now, capstone subject in management. Now, I know like strategy is a very important subject in management. So basic concepts, we're going to talk about basic concepts of strategy, strategic planning, and strategic management. So strategy, what is a strategy? It is a general direction, a path or the basic approach set for the company and its businesses in order to stay ahead of competitors and achieve desired future state. Strategies are developed particularly by matching organizations' strengths with external opportunities, threats. Obviously, strategies are made within organization by the people of organization, and what they know about internal stuffs are like their strengths uh, and weaknesses. So it in order to taking consideration about strength and weakness and matching it with external opportunities and threats, so that strategies are developed for that company. Besides, insights obtained from past successful strategies as well as accumulated experience of managers, executives are also used. This means that people involved in organizations are who are playing a key role during organizational operations. Their experiences are past experiences, the strategies they adopted in past year in the organization. Everything is accumulated while generating strategy of any company. Moving on, what is strategic management? So strategic management is a comprehensive process of analyzing the environment and setting the context, formulating different level strategies, implementing them, and over time initiating corrective action in strategic goals, objectives, strategies, and way of implementation as required. This means like strategic management itself is a process of analyzing the environment, setting the context uh, in different level in the strategic management. In different level, strategies are formulated, strategies are implemented, and while required during this process, corrective actions are also taken place in strategic goals, objectives, strategies, and way of implementation as required. Wherever acquired or corrective actions regarding these are taken. So strategic management is a whole, where as strategic planning is a part of strategic management process. These are the components of strategic management process. First component is set the context. This means establish or review vision, mission, and values. First, during strategic management process, first step or first component is the company must establish a vision, a mission, or and its values, and review it with a team, or like in order to make it the right one, it also needs to review when required. So another component is so reviewing might be might be proceeded with consideration of external and internal environmental analysis, or even establishing vision, mission, and values can be done taking consideration from external environmental analysis and internal environment analysis, so that it can create such vision, mission, and values that is relevant, reliable, and provides a value to, adds value to, or gives a long-term vision and mission according to the resources it has available, according to experiences and everything. So all the factors of internal and external need to be considered while establishing vision, mission, and values of a company and review it accordingly. So next component of strategic management process is set strategic goals and formulate strategies. Second component is set strategic goals and formulate strategies and devise action plans. This means one company needs to set certain strategic goals, and then formulate strategies and then devise action plans. So this means while making a strategy, there must be one goal that company shall be targeting, and after setting a strategic goal, uh, strategies are developed and that strategies are formulated, and it is turned into like points of actions that are required to be like processed in order to achieve those strategic goals. Moving on to another component of strategic management process is that strategy implementation. After setting the strategy goal and formulating the strategies, devising such action plans, it is time for those actions to be implemented and get started to kick off. That is the reason third component is strategy implementation. In this stage, strategies are implemented. Another component and last component of strategic management process is strategy evaluation and control. This means since while the strategies are implemented, uh, one company shall make sure that it is working properly, or it is working under certain guidelines or with a vision, mission, and values it created. So it must be evaluated uh, after implementation, and it must do necessary control activities, so that in order to maintain quality in strategy implementation, in order to be transparent and the effective implementation of strategy. So moving on to components of strategy. So moving on to components of strategic planning process. Strategic planning process involves four components. They are first component of strategic planning process is set the context, that is establish or review a vision, mission, and values. Second component is okay, so as you can see in those arrows that uh, while setting the context or establishing vision, mission, and values, and reviewing it. The company shall consider internal and external factors, and it shall do external environment analysis as well as internal environment analysis. Moving on to second component, it shall set strategic goals, objectives, and formulate strategies. Set strategic goals means that uh, in order to implement in order to move on with strategic planning process, company shall set its strategic goals, a target that it is determined to achieve, and formulate those strategies. Moving on, third component of strategic planning process is draft action plans. In order to implement or like create a path, what are the things that a company shall be doing? It must create or draft action plans that will help in achieving those goals and objectives and implementing the strategies in a effective manner, in alignment with its goals and objectives. It can also do draft action plans like specifying sub goals or bullet or activities, or like deadlines, timelines, and who are the people who will be leading certain activity, lead roles, what are the resources that might be like required. So in such way action plans can be drafted. Moving on to last component of strategic planning process, it is review progress and make adjustments. After the action plans are drafted and uh, taking into started to taking into action, last component of strategy planning process will include review the progress of those actions, what how effectively it is like working, or what are the obstacles there, and make adjustments accordingly. And while required, the process might also restart to make it more better with the reviews, and it can also realize many things like and also reset its mission, vision, mission, and values, and follow the same hierarchy or phases as seen in the figure. Level of strategies, talking about this, it can be seen that there are three types of level of strategy. Number one is corporate level strategy. Number two is SPU level strategy, small business unit is level strategy, and third is functional level strategy. In corporate level strategy, the the members included in corporate level strategy are board of directors, CEO, and top level executives. While making small business unit level execute strategies, members included are the heads of certain departments, that is after board of directors and CEO and top level executives. And at last, functional level strategies includes the respective managers of respective department, that is after small business unit level strategies. So SPU actually means strategic business unit level strategy, not small business unit strategy. Sorry for the mistake. Anyway, moving on to the explanations of the levels of strategy. First, we have corporate level strategy. So, in corporate level strategy, choice of the basic direction and other relevant issues for a company as a whole. This means that uh, while making the strategy at this level, the priority is basic direction and like relevant issues for a company, but as a whole and in broad broad sense, such as they make a strategy aligning with the stability of the business, expansion of business, retrenchment of business, and any combinations of the business. So I'd like to explain the three levels more deeply from this note. So the three levels of strategy developed by Gary Johnson and Kevin Scholes, along with other major um, managerial thinkers, are a way of defining the different layers of strategy, which in can then orient the direction of organization and define its success. Three levels are corporate, business, and functional. When synchronized and coordinated, successful strategies at each of these levels will contribute to successful overall organizational strategy. So corporate level strategy. It is the top layer of strategic planning and is often associated with the organization's mission and values. Mission and values. Though it is developed in much more, like significant depth, corporate strategy is defined by those at the very top of the organization, such as managing directors and executive boards, and is an outline of the overall direction and course of the business. In effect, it defines general overall strategy and direction, which markets the organization will operate in, how the markets will be entered, and the general activities of the organization. Strategy is generally defined at key points in an organization's timeline, a lifetime. The most important time for this to occur is at the organization's inception. However, it is often neglected in favor of a reliance on a specific service or product. Corporate strategy is crucial as it defines all other decisions that are made within the organization along the line. Smaller, newer organizations which are targeting a very specific niche market or operate with a small set of unique product services will find it far easier to develop a corporate strategy as there are fewer variables to consider. Obviously, however, large and more developed organizations will find the process much simpler as they may need to diverge from activities and behaviors which define who they are in order to reach out into new markets and to take new opportunities. Moving on to another level of strategy, that is business level strategy. So business strategy generally emerges and evolves from the overarching corporate strategy, which has been set by those at the helm. They are usually far more specific than corporate strategy and will likely be unique to different departments or subdivisions within the border organizations. In general, they use corporate strategy as an outline to define specific tactics and strategies for each market the organization is involved in. Define how each business unit will deliver the planned tactics. Due to their nature, they are more common in larger firms that engage in multiple activities than they are in small businesses. However, they can still be engaged in by smaller organizations who wish to define how they go about each different subsections of their operations by breaking down the overall scope of corporate strategy. Another levels of strategy is functional level. This, also known as market level strategy, refers to the day-to-day operation of the company, which will keep it functioning and moving in the correct direction. Which many organizations fail because they do not have an overarching corporate strategy. Others fail because they have not developed plans for how to engage in everyday activities. Even with an overall direction you wish to head in, without a plan for how to successfully operate, an organization will be unable to progress. These will be numerous and will define very specific aspects and operations within smaller departments, teams, groups, and activities. Overall, they define day-to-day actions which are required to deliver corporate and business strategies. Obviously, relationships needed between units, departments, and teams in day-to-day, how operational goals will be met, and how they will be monitored. At, it is at this level, the lowest in strategic development, that leaders should define how different departments and functions will work together to achieve higher goals. There will be managers that will oversee departments, example, manufacturing and HR, that do not perform the same function but need to be synchronized in order to achieve the goals set out by the corporate and business strategies. Moving on to nature characteristics of strategic decisions. A strategic decision must be long-term. It must have impact in a long run because strategies are made with the vision and mission of a very long period. Second characteristic is wider in a scope because strategies are developed in a broad sense, and it must not be specific to one division, but it must have a wider strategies in the scope, yeah, wider nature, so that it has wider in the scope. So third characteristic is strategic decisions must be focused on customer needs and expectation, because customers are the ones who who are the king for any organization, and all the strategies at the end are made so that the customer are satisfied and their expectations are fulfilled. Fourth characteristics is attention to environmental changes, because of this environmental changes, decisions can be in less of quality if environmental changes are not considered. It can result in or hamper in the sustainability of business as well. Another characteristic of strategic decision is uh, affect subsequent level decisions. Sixth characteristic is element of a risk. Seventh characteristic is seeks to maximize competitive advantage. Another characteristic is involvement of senior level managers. So hierarchy of objectives, strategies, and their decision makings can be shown from this table. Strategic decision makers, board of members, corporate managers, business managers, and functional managers. So where are these people, responsible when it comes to making, objectives, achieving the objectives, and how to achieve objectives means strategies. So while, developing mission and vision, board of directors, corporate managers, business managers are responsible, and mostly BOD and corporate managers are more responsible. While defining strategic goals, objectives, and achieving to targeting grand strategy, uh, mostly corporate managers and business managers are responsible with in line with a board of directors. For annual objectives, target, and short-term strategies and policies of functional level, functional managers and business managers are majorly responsible in line with corporate managers. So benefit and importance of strategic management, particularly in contexts like Nepal. In Nepal, companies are mostly rely on annual plans or even sometimes firefighting approach instead of long-term and proactive approach. Against this backdrop, the importance of strategic management can be highlighted under the following points. First, it provides unified purpose and better guidance to the entire organization. Second, it reduces future uncertainty by forcing managers to look ahead. Third, it reduces overlapping and wasteful activities. Four, it promotes creativity. Fifth, it helps to achieve economy in operation. Six, the evaluation and control component helps to keep the organization in continuous transformation process. Seventh, it helps to maximize competitive advantage and minimize competitive disadvantage by focusing more on core competencies. Number eight, benefit and importance of strategic management is strategic management process seeks to satisfy not only customers but also other stakeholders, and hence it helps to get continued support from all important stakeholders. So moving on to pitfalls in strategic planning. To explain pitfalls in strategic planning, I'm going to refer R.David's strategic management handbook. So strategic planning is an involved, intricate, and complex process that takes an organization into uncharted territory. It does not provide a ready-to-use prescription for success. Instead, it takes the organization through a journey and offers a framework for addressing questions and solving problems. It does not provide a ready-to-use prescription for success. Instead, it takes the organization through a journey and offers a framework for addressing questions and solving problems. So, being aware of potential pitfalls and being prepared to address them is essential to success. Like any kind of pitfalls, potential pitfalls, we must be aware and be prepared, to address them so that it will help in the success of the organization. So some pitfalls to watch for and avoid in strategic planning are these: using strategic planning to gain control over decisions and resources, doing strategic planning only to satisfy accreditation or regulatory requirements, too hastily moving from mission development to strategy formulation. Okay, so failing to communicate the plan to employees who continue working in the dark, top managers making many intuitive decisions that conflict with the formal plan. Top managers not actively supporting the strategic planning process. Failing to use plans as a planner rather than involving all managers. Failing to use plans as a standard for measuring performance. Delegating plan to a planner rather than involving managers. Failing to involve key employees in all phases of planning. Failing to create a collaborative climate support of change. Viewing planning as unnecessary or unimportant. Becoming so engrossed in current problems that insufficient or no planning is done. Being so formal in planning that flexibility and creativity are stifled. So moving on to role of CEO as a strategic leader. Following are the important roles and responsibilities of CEO as a strategic leader. Develop vision, mission, values, strategic objectives, and the strategic course for the entire organization. Seek help and support from other managers, board of members, and external consultants in the strategic management process as needed. Negotiate with internal and external stakeholders as needed. Attract talented people, unlock their highest potential, motivate them, and meaningfully utilize them. Create a winning organization through appropriate technology, principles, ethics, governance, and CSR and perseverance. Shape organization culture in line with the essence of strategy. Cope with changes in internal and external environments. Keep the organization ahead of competitors and ensure above average returns.